Hi, I'm Hisnara, the editor of CheekyLittleCareers.com. I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by Matt Verrell, who is our Associate Executive Coach. And in this short video, I'm going to talk to Matt about his career journey from Magic Circle lawyer to executive coach with a bit of palliative care in between. Get Matt to explain what that is. And we'll also talk a little bit about some of the one-to-one services that Matt is offering through our website. Matt, how are you? Lovely to see you.
You too, Hisnara. Great to be with you, as always. Thank you.
Why don't you start by telling viewers a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. It's great to be speaking with you today. So as Hisnara said, I'm a former lawyer. I started my career at A&O, where I trained with A&O, and I joined, that was back in 2011 now. Can't believe that's 10 years ago this month. Um, I spent 6 months in the firm's Moscow office doing banking, and it was banking that I ultimately qualified into. So I started practicing leverage finance, and I was with A&O for a couple of years post-qualification. So very fast-paced, transaction after transaction after transaction. Didn't really have much time for anything else other than that.
Sounds exhausting,
Um,
I just say.
yeah. I think it's quite a usual story, which people,
Yeah,
certainly the
resonates
lawyers
with
I work
me.
with, say. Um, and there came a point where I thought, well, maybe I can readdress this balance a bit. Let's try and get a bit more life in the work-life balance.
Mm.
So I moved to a smaller practice called Flaggate, where I joined their corporate team doing real estate finance and general lending work. And I was with them for about 18 months or so. But again, the balance wasn't quite there. And I thought, I think I really need to spend some time focusing on me and trying to figure out what it is that I want to do, where I can find that kind of meaning and purpose in my
Sure,
work. And I'm sure you can relate to that too, certainly in sort of what you do now, Isnara.
absolutely.
Um, and I still love working with lawyers, but I needed something different. And it was after a lot of umming and ahhing and soul searching, I've thought, actually, why don't I look for a role in care? Because that's helping people on a fundamental level. And I became a full-time carer working with people struggling with various stages of dementia. And that evolved into being part of a team delivering end of life and palliative care. So palliative care being sort of care where someone may be terminally ill, but you're making them as comfortable as possible for as long as possible. Now, it's through working with people at the end of their lives that it made me realize, gosh, we have so much living to do. We have so much potential. We have so many opportunities that we can create. We just need to go and do it.
Yeah.
And that got me to coaching. So I retrained and qualified as a coach. And I now get to work still with lots of lawyers because I love working with lawyers, but just helping them figure out what it is that they want from their role. How can they maximize their performance and productivity? How can they build that resilience, get that self-confidence up to an all-time high? So yeah, that's sort of where I am up to now.
How did you find the initial sort of change in direction? Because so many lawyers really struggle
Mm.
with making that switch, either because they are unsure of what they can be doing, or they've got so many ideas swirling around their heads that they just don't know how to turn ideas into action.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And one of the hardest things is knowing that I put in all these years of training
Mm.
and a lot of financial cost as well.
Absolutely.
Am I suddenly going to throw that away? Is that just the most stupid idea ever? And you talk to some people, and I did talk to some people, and they said, no, you must always you stay in law. All that investment, all that time, all that training, stay in law. But in my heart of hearts, I was being called in another direction, and it's having that big dollop of courage to say, okay, if something isn't serving you right now,
Yeah.
let's change it. Let's find something that you're passionate about. Let's find something that really interests you, which is why I took that kind of leap of faith into the dark, into a role I'd never had any experience doing.
Mm.
But I had this gut feeling that it would work out. So I trusted my instinct and I went for it. And I think sometimes you just have to try it, knowing that you've got a fantastic foundation. As a lawyer, we are, we're really highly regarded no matter what we do.
Yeah.
Worst comes to worst, you can go back to it. You can find a way back. There are many different forms of being able to be a lawyer again. So have that confidence that there is that cushion. You've got a great profession behind you.
Yeah.
Just have that courage to go forward.
What was the most difficult adjustment you had to make?
I think you get so used to being in a corporate environment,
Sure.
and suddenly that's removed,
Yeah.
and you're surrounded. Well, you're taken out of your comfort zone because you do get used to that sort of environment, don't you? It becomes the norm. And suddenly when that changes, that takes a while to get used to. But you just have to give it time, and you make the adjustment, you do adapt, particularly if you know that what you're doing, it is aligned with you, who you are as a person, and gives that meaning and purpose to what you do.
Sure. And you mentioned having the courage to do it. Where did you find that courage?
Well, I think what helped was talking to people, so talking to friends and family,
Yeah,
sharing your ideas with them, getting some people to tell you that you're not completely insane. It's okay to think about doing something else.
yeah,
Find other people who've maybe done that thing that you want to do as well. That really helps.
yeah.
And do as much research as you can about the areas or other professions you're looking at doing. So it shoves it into your conscious mind more, and it becomes more of a reality. So then actually you realize it's a possibility. There
Sure.
is an opportunity out there.
So the work that you're doing with Cheeky Little Careers has a focus on wellbeing, which is obviously a
Mhm.
key part of the Cheeky Little Careers offering.
Mm.
Why don't you tell viewers what that involves? What do you offer by way of one-to-one services?
Yeah, yeah. So I remember as a lawyer, I didn't focus on my well-being at all. And I think when we talk to a lot of lawyers, don't we, Hisnara, that's quite common because you're in such a fast-paced environment. We're working flat out. It can feel like there really isn't time to focus on anything else
Yeah,
other than the transactions or the cases that we're working on. And this got me thinking, because I'm quite passionate about, having neglected that when I was a lawyer, I want to make sure that I'm working and helping lawyers to make sure that this is really first and forefront in their
yeah,
focus and attention going forward, because I really believe it does impact your career, and it can boost your productivity. It can really enhance your prospects longer term
agreed.
if you focus on this missing jigsaw piece. So what I've developed through Cheeky Little Careers is a series of one-to-one sessions with me, where we can look at boosting your resilience. How do you bounce forward from these challenges and setbacks that you'll face daily? We know lawyers are constantly under huge amounts of pressure, spinning multiple plates at once. So how do we make sure we keep those plates spinning,
Yeah,
but come out stronger the other end? And coupled with that is building back any confidence that we might have lost. If you've had a transaction which has gone not as well as you expected, or you've lost that case, how
mm,
do you build that confidence back to make sure next time
yeah,
you've got that confidence in yourself? So yeah, I can do this. That didn't go so well now, but here's what I can do to really move forward. And then work-life balance. When I was a lawyer, as so many lawyers are now, we really don't have that balance at all.
yeah. It's
How
sad,
do we
isn't it,
make
seeing
get a
it?
bit?
Mm.
Yeah.
I think that despite the emphasis on well-being in the city, I just feel that lawyers are working just as hard as we did, if not harder.
Yeah, yeah. With the added complexities of not being in the same place as other colleagues and stuff as well,
Mm.
which does sometimes make it harder. And we are, as a profession, we're having to be very resilient. It's building and building and building, and the expectations are being piled on and piled on and piled on. But we need to make sure that we are employing levels of self-care to make sure that we can get through that,
Yeah.
and come out stronger the other end,
Mm.
which is why I developed these programs with Cheeky Little Careers, to really help lawyers to figure out, this is where you are now, this is where you want to be. So let's bridge that gap and close that gap and work out how we can move forward.
So, if someone were to book a session with you, how would that look and feel to them? What's your approach to coaching?
Well, it's a very conversational approach. It's very much, we're a level playing field, and we are a partnership. We're working together with your goals in mind and what you want to work on in mind. That is my priority, as it is your priority. And so it's very, very collaborative. It's also a relationship built very much on trust, because for it to work, there has to be that level of trust. So I work very hard to make sure that we have that trust in place, that you'll trust me as your coach, knowing that I've got your back no matter what you're going through, and no matter what you share. It's entirely confidential, and it goes nowhere outside of our sessions. So I hope that by working together, you feel more empowered to take what you've learned and use it to move forward in a really positive and meaningful way.
Great. That sounds really good, because there are so many people out there who label themselves as well-being coaches, and I do worry sometimes that it can be a bit sort of fluffy, And so you've described is really interesting. And what about sort of other areas that you're interested in? What else do you get up to in your spare time when you're not doing sort of coaching and being a former lawyer?
Yeah, well, getting out and about. So I love the outdoors. Any excuse to get outside. I think I've always been a bit of an outdoors kind of guy. So going out walking. I love sports as well. Playing badminton, tennis. Being worn out by my 2-year-old son, chasing him around the garden is quite a big thing at the moment. So yeah, just getting out and about, enjoying nature. How about
Well, in
yourself?
that case, I should let you crack on because I don't know what the weather is like where you are. Outside where I am is absolutely gorgeous. So lovely to catch up with you, Matt.
You
And
too.
I will no doubt be chatting to you very soon.
Yes,
Take
thanks,
care.
Susanna.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye. Bye.